the longest time, and I didn't even though I studied the Course in Miracles, I didn't really attribute it to Jesus. It is the word of Jesus. Somehow I blanked that out.
Yes.
And so I find lately, there's something that you hear all the time was I am the way and the light, that nobody can get to the Father except through me.
Yes.
And it seems a bit egotistical to me.
My own view is it's you see, at the final stage, yes, on a certain level it can look egotistical, because at the final stage it looks like a person is giving you an instruction, and also it's you could look at it in a different way, which is that in the final stages we go beyond a person recommending anything or being a person. We're going to what I call it the realm of non-form. It's like there is a connection to oneness and stillness and peace, which has transcended the identification that there is a body or there are other bodies, or there's any form of separation. Now, so for me, that is the ultimate truth. You know, there is no separation. The oneness and the stillness and the love, where there is no separation of a me and a you. So, for me, so I call it like, we could call it, for me, it's like the story of the illusion. And within the illusion, it seems like a physical body, but for me it's like, even within the illusion, it's like, for me, there's like the heavenly realms, there's the angels, and there's like the ascended masters or the avatars. So we're still in the realm of duality, but it's almost like some of them are already in the non-dual, but they seem to speak in the language of the dual. And it's like, so there's something that happens beyond the perception of a person, a special person asking, can seem like there's a special person asking for allegiance to a special person. However, even in the, for me, even in the realms of duality, it's good to have allegiance to what appears to be a person, because there's great grace, which then, if someone shares the truth, to be in alignment with that, while one's still in separation as a person to another person, it still brings in a lot of grace that individual has. So it's like just even like to worship God or to worship Jesus. For me, it's like in the realm of duality, it's like a transformer. Like, you know, for me, God would be the realm of the infinite, beyond any form. And an avatar would be someone at the highest level of existence in this realm, who's very close to that non-dual state. So it's like have faith in the words I say, and even you can have faith in my image and the words I say, and that acts as like a kind of a language transformer for the individuals who believe they are a physical body and a separation, and they somehow, for me, they get an intuitive knowing that he speaks the truth. And so to offer allegiance is like, for me, he's like a transformer which can explain the language of non-duality, or is trying to explain a language in a way that's understandable to those still within the illusion, to step them up, either to his level or even beyond. I think, you know, for me, my own view was probably for his disciples, he was able to speak in a way which he wouldn't speak to a crowd of people, you see. So it's like, oh, that I'm a special person and you guys are special people worshipping me as a special...
But did they get it?
Well, I think his disciples were. I mean, they became saints. I think some of them may have had miracles happen around them. Because I think for his individual audience of the people who are his close, you know, his disciples and his closed rooms, I think he would have spoken at the, you know, through Hawkins' kinesiology, he was at the highest level possible. Jesus, Krishna, and Buddha all had the truth, at the highest level of truth in the human realm, that is possible in the physical body. But I think they spoke different languages to different audiences. Like Buddha was in a certain time when enlightenment was quite a common theme, so it's quite safe to talk at, like, let go of all of your attachments and realize your non-dual nature beyond any form or body or anything. So he was able to, but the audience and the context in which Jesus was, and to carry the message in that very turbulent time, that only a certain level for the masses could be like, worship me, I'm the way, the life and the truth. And that is very, very powerful for the masses. You know, like Hawkins would calibrate, they were very low energy, I think below 200. So to even that was a very radical message, and he did get actually crucified. So he was trying to dumb the message down. But I think for his close, he wouldn't have been saying, I'm sure, you know, my intuition, he wouldn't be talking to his disciples that, you know, I'm a special person and you need to, you know, but it does work, you see, if those have faith. It's more, I think it's more of an inner intuitive thing, some of them. And Hawkins actually said, you know, the miracles were part of the function to help the masses, you know, because it's hard for the masses to know who speaks the truth and who speaks the non-truth. So the miracles, you know, for the times, most people wouldn't believe him if he just said a few words. But to see the miracles, you know, it was. But it does work. Sorry, your question was, it seems arrogant.
Yeah, well, to me personally, but because it's used a lot by fundamentalists and whatever, and I thought, well, you know, what about the Buddhists and all the other religions who don't necessarily believe in Jesus? You know, are they going to be shut out? You know, so it doesn't seem right that the only way to heaven is through Jesus.
It's a good question. I think for me it's the context of the situation. I think he was probably the only person at the time in the context of that environment.
Right.
And I think it was legitimate for him, for the message he had to try and carry, because he was probably the only one in the whole of, I guess, whatever it was, Israel. And he was trying to save as many souls as possible. So in the context that Buddha isn't living next door, Buddha's probably in a different continent, and in the context of he was trying to, you know, save as many as possible, and everything else was in the local vicinity total falsehood. For him to say, look, you guys, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Right. In the contextual setting, was true. Was the correct thing to do. Because it's not relevant to say there may be someone in another continent that you can go to. It's not really relevant. So I think the church, yes, I agree with you. The church can then say Buddhism is wrong, Hinduism is wrong. And we're the only ones.
So that's the part that bothered me. Not because I think, the other thing I thought about the crucifixion and Jesus in the tomb.
Yes.
And you know, I accept totally that he wouldn't be there when they came, but you know, he wouldn't have any need to push a rock back.
Yes. He wouldn't have what? Sorry.
He wouldn't. You know, when it was in Mary Magdalene, whoever came to the tomb, and the rock that they put to secure the tomb was pushed back.
Okay.
And so that Jesus could probably walk up, but he wouldn't need, because he knew he wasn't there anyway. You know, he would know. I'm sure he knew on the cross that it wasn't him being crucified. It was just and the same that he could. I don't think he needed his body to get out of there. Whatever.
No. I think from it's a good point. I think from Hawkins' research, it was like I've shared before, with his kinesiologic research, he was going checking the muscle strength of different lines in the Bible.
Yes.
And I think it's in the King James's version, it stated that he said on the cross, "God, why have you abandoned me?"
Yeah.
And then there's the Aramaic, he says everyone can go check out the Aramaic translation.
Yeah.
And on that translation, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say that. There's no line that states, "Oh God, why have you abandoned?" It's telling everyone that God's abandoned him.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, it's Rupa. Oh, okay. Sorry. Hi, Rupa. Oh, it's number 3. If you press number 3, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, that bothered me even as a child.
Hi, Rupa.
I thought, just because I didn't have a very good relationship with my own father. And I thought, well, poor old Jesus in the same position. So, yeah.
Oh, that he said, "God, why have you abandoned me?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that when I was a boy. Yeah.
I think that's one of the big ones in the Bible.
Yeah.
Jesus, who's supposed to be who Jesus is suddenly saying on the cross at the
Yeah.
last minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what's the difference between the scriptures and the Bible?
I don't know, actually, the scriptures and the Bible.
No, because that was just something, I think it was last Sunday's big questions.
I
Somebody
thought
said
it's the
that
same.
the
Is it
questions were,
I'm not sure.
they said that they were written by 28 different people or something. Some expert on the scriptures.
No
And
idea.
I've always thought
never.
they were just was Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John that
No, there
wrote
were
the
more.
Bible. Yeah.
There are more disciples that wrote part of them.
Oh, there are.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe they were right then. I thought there was just 4 of them.
No.
You know,
There
yeah.
are more.
Yeah.
It was Mark, yeah, okay, it's quite a few. Mark, John.
Matthew,
Matthew,
Luke.
Mark, Luke, and John. Yeah. There's no. I'm sure Peter
Yeah,
wrote
no.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Sabbir.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite interesting. I think today I can share it. Hawkins' research was, I'm sure it would upset quite a few people. So, like, the Aramaic came out as true, that he didn't say that. And the common version that he said that came out as false. Also,
Oh, put on this.
oh,
It's okay.
yeah. And
That's all right. Do you want that? That's fine. It's all right.
so that came out, and he said within the 14th century Council of Nicaea, and I'll share it today. I think no one's going to be upset today. That during that time they wanted to introduce the Old Testament into and latch that on to the New Testament, and through calibrations, like everything in the Old Testament except for Genesis and Proverbs is actually negative. It calibrates as negative, like the punishing God.
Yeah.
So it's like there's been, and you can go through line by line, but you see, but by the adding of the Old Testament with a lot of the negativity, and also the changing of the New Testament, like Jesus saying, so a lot of this has been altered, you see. So yes, a lot of churches are using certain segments, in a very, very punishing, God's going to wrathful and, context. So for me, that then clarified. Some of it is like calibrating very, very high his words. When you check it out, that's true. But some of it, like the Old Testament, I mean, this is total falsehood.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with any kind of spiritual message. So it's great. And for me, it's like certain churches are at different vibrations, where some of them will just pick. Also, this is quite big, that he said that John calibrates negative.
John the Baptist.
I don't know if it's John the Baptist, but there's there's a John. What is it? The end of times. Is it? I was reading something. The Apocalypse. That's it. Thank
It
you.
is John the Baptist.
Yes, John the.
Oh, that's horrible.
John the Baptist. That
It
calibrates.
is actually, yeah.
John the Baptist.
Yeah.
I think I read something in the Bible like Jesus in a crowd, or
Yeah.
crowd like judging everyone or something. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see
Hi,
you.
guys.
Hello, how are you?
Hi. Hello.
Right.
So, yeah, it's interesting you're saying like it calibrates negatively.
The book, the verses
yeah.
calibrate. That's the
It's
only
quite,
one. from
the Apocalypse,
Yeah,
it's
Apocalypse.
quite horrible. Yeah, it's kind of almost like macabre.
Yes.
But funny,
Yes.
he was living on an island in Greece,
Yes.
Patmos, and there's the cave still there. And many years ago, he actually went to the cave,
Yes.
and he had a beautiful energy.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, although he was writing almost like the Apocalypse, which is a horror movie, really.
Yeah.
So I don't know what
Okay.
actually was quite, I'm not sure why, if he was calibrating really low. I don't know. No idea.
Yeah, but it almost seems like his prophecy is coming true. The horror.
I don't know.
We're running out of everything.
I don't
All the
know.
animals are being, there's so
Yeah.
much
Hmm.
that a lot of experts can't see the world as we know it continuing or existing because of unless we deal with climate change and wars and horror that's going on.
So according to the David Hawkins, he calibrated quite low.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very low actually. I can
He
tell
must have been sincere within
Interesting.
himself what he
Yeah.
thought. This is what he really thought. You would think.
he was sincere. What Hawkins' research, which you don't have to agree with, is that calibration is 70 actually, which is very low.
Gosh, yeah.
And is that
70?
70,
Wow.
which is
I
that
think I'm even better than that.
he had a lower astral
Wow.
visitation, and he described the lower astral visitation. So he did what you said about him being authentic in what he actually saw and what he wrote is true, but it wasn't. It was actually like you can visit the lower astral realms, and then write it. But that was a lower visitation. You might visit a heavenly realm and just say what you've experienced. So that was that. And a lot of the churches, which are very, very punishing, use John a lot. It's like of all the love and forgiveness, the John one is picked on, which is the low.
Yeah.
So a lot of the churches do latch onto that.
Yeah.
So so that can be a thing. We're just talking.
Interesting, yeah.
So that was his research. But a lot of the New Testament, except for John, actually the New Testament, except for John, is calibrating very, very high. I think it's between 700 and 900.
Oh, so this is John's.
Not John.
No.
No,
Oh.
That was
excluding.
part of the Old Testament.
Excluding
wasn't it?
John, yeah.
The Apocalypse.
Is that
So-
part of the Old Testament,
I
the New
think it
Testament?
might be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
I'm
because
not
really, I
100%
don't know
sure.
that much about the Bible because the Catholic Church cunningly
Yeah.
did not get us to study the Bible.
Huh?
We never did,
Oh, okay.
and and so on Sundays they would usually pick the horrible stuff, to scare the bejesus out of us.
Okay.
And so I have not read the Bible, and I should, But,
I've never read the Bible
you
either.
haven't do, but
No.
you were taught it though, were you?
No.
No, not as a Greek
No.
Catholic either.
No.
No. Well, they probably didn't want to teach the stuff where we can get there
Start
on
thinking.
our own,
Questioning and
yeah. Because nearly always when I was a little boy, and it was the mass would scare the Jesus out of you. It was all hell and damnation, and and it's so if you didn't tell all in confession, I used to go there and I'd say I committed this sin of impurity, Father,
Yes.
And he'd say, "How many times, my child?" And then I'd lie. Yeah.
I never really read the Bible until Hawkins, so I just did what he did. I just read the bits that he said are positive, and I left out really all of the Old Testament. And it was really nice.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, when he was having his metaphors that Jesus was giving, they were all all very beautiful.
Yeah.
And I went into St. Paul's Cathedral, and they were reading the Old Testament, and it was like I didn't want to hear it. You know, it was like, oh, I've just gone into this beautiful environment, and they're reading this stuff, and it was like, oh, and it was like very, very negative. So yeah, that was his thing. But it made sense to me, like when I was reading the different calibrations, and also it made sense to me that why would Jesus sort of say, you know, that the Aramaic version would be the true,
Right.
positively, and that the widespread King James, which is used by everyone, using like the forces in the Council of Nicaea that were to introduce the Old Testament and to change certain lines within the New Testament, were like the forces of negativity, trying to like dumb down the message, so a punishing message could go out, so that those people in the church who wanted to use that energy field now had something to go on. Look, Jesus said he was abandoned. The Old Testament says you're going to be punished to death or struck by thunder if you do it wrong. So then the message gets told. But for me, that's just natural. Everything, you can only teach what you are. So if a church or a people found a church and they are at that energy, they're going to just pick out the lines which reinforce your vibration. If you are at a high vibration, you just say love and forgiveness. If you're at a low vibration and you're the minister, you'll just choose like you're going to be struck, you know, thunderbolt's going to come, and you're full of sin.
Well, the reason that I am becoming reacquainted, really,
Yes.
because as a Catholic, we said lots of prayers to Jesus, but they were just words. You know, now I'm tuning more into the vibration. At the beginning, the vibration was really distant. It was like seeing it through a mist or clouds. But just lately, I'm feeling it more. I'm feeling that His presence is real. You know, and I'm happier since that happened. It's only quite recently.
Well, that sounds like Course in Miracles. Like to go beyond, to go through the clouds. And to
Well, I actually do that physically. I have some silly little exercises where I go through the clouds and I bring them down in a spaceship and it's over my head, and I have them all moving and all the saints that I know are within, and I tune into the energy. And I do that for an hour every morning, and it's lovely.
It's very powerful.
It's a good start to the day.
I think that sounds very sort of inspired. Very inspiring. I think as you do the course, these inspirations.
I think the lesson for the day is very useful, but beyond that, I don't do a lot of reading anymore. Before I was a book junkie, you know. Then I don't seem to. I'd rather just meditate or contemplation.
This is beautiful. Yes. Likewise. It's, the words become less and less important. I'm just connecting.
It's just. I'm trying not to judge it, but very little of what the world has to offer interests me.
Yeah.
You know, I find television silly almost. It's just, there's nothing on there. And most of the movies they're making are don't mean very much, you know, and they
Yeah.
used to know most of them about killing
So
and
Bring
or
us
silly
closer
love
if you want.
stories.
Yeah. Cool down.
So, but I don't mind it. It's just,
Yes.
you know, it's fun. I'm trying not to judge it because lots of people do like it.
Yes.
You know, something 13 million or something, which is British Bake Off, which is amazes me because here we have a program where they're using there's a big obesity crisis, and they with this lovely old woman
Yes.
and this handsome man, and they're making this stuff with loads of sugar, loads of fat, loads of butter, and everything is full of this stuff, and there's 13 million people watching it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of I'm going to call it the assisted suicide program. So it just seems daft.
It is.
There's emphasis on something that's not good for you.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. And
yeah,
it's like as you go up in vibration, everything seems quite daft.
Yeah.
Because, But at the lower levels, like when I was in the lower levels, like a program on food, a program with a lot of gossip and drama and action, I'd love that.
Yeah.
With Jesus, there was a lot of judgment that there seemed to be a physical body being angry at the gambling in the temple.
Right.
So obviously he can't. So everyone judges him. He can't be spiritual. You see, he wasn't really the real deal. And now I've forgotten his name. The Indian guy who used to smoke a lot.
Maharaj, Nisargadatta Maharaj was smoking cigarettes.
Nisargadatta, who's another enlightened sage, would just smoke cigarettes. So everyone would say, well, if you're enlightened, why are you like chain smoking?
Yeah.
And then with Muji, who's a diabetic who likes still has
he's diabetic.
He's diabetic. He's not insulin dependent, but he's diabetic. So he just has his cakes and everything.
Yeah.
So everyone tells him, well, if you're enlightened, you shouldn't be having you shouldn't be eating cream cakes.
Yeah.
If you're enlightened, you shouldn't be smoking, and if you're enlightened, you shouldn't be getting angry ever. So these kind of so as soon as you get to those levels, the ego hooks into, well, it can't be, that's not right. But at a certain level, for me, there's a maturing and a distancing of an allowing of the unfolding of the universe to just get on with it. And so it's like, so that for me, I forgot why I was, what was it? Why Muji is not it's just, for me, there is a level of, when enlightenment happens, there's a pre-existing belief systems which still happen. It's like an unfolding of belief system, like the body and something that's left that kept on smoking, carries on.
It's almost like the body is on an automatic type of thing.
Thank you, yeah. It's like there's a kind of like an autopilot. It's like, Hawkins described it as just like a karmic wind-up toy. There's just like, even though the consciousness is no longer that, there's some patterning that plays out.
Right.
And then the egos all make judgment that is the truth. Like the truth cannot smoke, the truth can't eat a cream cake, and the truth can never get angry. These kind of when you go with kinesiology, you find Jesus was the real thing, but everyone has a preconceived idea that if you were like at the highest level, one with God, that anger can't be perceived or a cream cake can't be eaten. You're going to be like the model, like the whole, you can't fit the mass of every single individual on the whole planet. Who's going to criticize anger or cakes or cigarettes. But the power, the consciousness at those levels is no longer that. It's not that. And the power that radiates out of that, you'll be able to tell. Like when I went to the room of Muji, you can feel the emanation of huge power.
Oh, yeah.
But then if you haven't experienced that, and you hear that Muji eats cream cakes, it's going to be like,
makes me like him even more.
It's like, well, he can't be real,
Yeah.
But for the seekers who sit, like many of us have sat in presence, it's like you're blissed out just to be there. Everything just goes. And
with him, it's just even on television screen, he just exudes goodness, and he doesn't have to say anything.
Yes. Yeah.
You just feel the energy even through the screen.
It's very powerful. I think part of my question isn't why isn't like kind of life maintaining and sustaining the body to its best, because what's happened with me is when I've completely let go, like this past week, no interest in food, eating, whatever, it was still happening that I'm following very precisely my food program, almost like life taking care of it, because life wants it to be that way somehow, to serve life, and it was that thing of why isn't life doing this with body? But now even like my question kind of seems meaningless because it's irrelevant, and either way, like you said, and he said it himself, my God, he said it, I'm formless. He just sits there. I think it was in a conversation with someone, but he just looks at this guy and was like, I'm formless.
Yeah.
It's that thing of actually what we are after is the formless of his form.
Yes.
Anyway, as beings. And maybe it's okay, like life just manifests itself with this kind of imperfections. Someone smoking, someone else is, whatever, bigger than maybe optimum.
I mean, the ego wants a karmic fit. So when you get to the highest levels, you look like perfection. For me, it's not like that. There's, as I see it, it's like there's pre-existing personality. And suddenly, when the identification that I'm a physical body in this located area disappears, then it's like what was said. There's like a karmic remnant of something that seems to display a kind of personality based on but the consciousness is no longer identified in a localized area with the personality. So to everybody else, it seems like there are character defects in the individual. However, for the real deal, there'll be huge emanation of love. But to someone who just hears some of the things they've done, like get angry or eat a cream cake, it's like, well, that can't be a true sage, because for anyone who's been in the presence, there's an inner recognition that's true. Yeah. You see. But for outsiders who hear that, then for me, there's also at higher levels, it's not, you see, the ego wants enlightenment or recognition to be like you're going to be perfection in the world, you see. So once I'm enlightened, I can perform miracles for myself and everyone else whenever I want to, and I can live to like 700 years old without aging. But it's like at a certain level you're in harmony with God's will, and for me, as I see it, the purpose of this physicality and the purpose of this world. So it's like it wouldn't serve the purpose of this dualistic world for that to occur. It's not in alignment with God's will. Once you're not that, anyway, you leave God to handle everything. There isn't this thing of... anyway, I think that's going to getting off the point of it. But yeah, it's a lovely... Did that answer the question?
Yes, it is. It's a very long answer. It's wonderful. I was just thinking, you mentioned, I'm terrible pronouncing Nesradatta. Yeah. I love him. I love the book and that. But I find he doesn't exude any aura like Muji does. He doesn't. To me, anyway, personally. No, not that kind of fatherly thing.
Just whatever whoever's attracted.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Yeah. But on a physical plane, Muji is a lot more attractive.